Hello to everybody, I'm KALMYKOVA Maria.
And I am Mikhail Putin.
And I am DANILUSHKINA.
We are glad to present our research integration of the green economy into industry, a comparative analysis of Russian and world practices. Key objectives of our research are comparison of interpretations, researches of green economy, description of structure of green economy as a phenomenon integrated into industrial sector of economy. After that, we will talk about the results of analysis, different practices of introducing green economy processes into production cycles, and will make conclusions. Now let's move on to the main part of our presentation and start by comparing interpretations of green economy by Russian, British, American and Swedish researchers, because there are still disputes about what is meant by this term. For the first time, green economy was mentioned in the work of British scientists Pearce, McCandva, Babier under the title Drawing of a Green Economy, 1989, in which a parallel was drawn between this concept and sustainable development. Secondly, United Nations Environment Programme gave another definitions of green economy, but still there is no exact definition of the term, so we started interpretations by Russian and non-Russian researchers. Comparing these definitions, we can indicate the following similarity. The key focus of green economy is to maintain a high level of well-being of the population and ensure environmental protection. However, there are few differences. For example, Russian scientists perceive green economy as a scientific category, while non-Russian researchers define it as a process, a vision of future development of society. Also, another important difference in the interpretations is that only in Russia there is an interpretation with a bias towards organic agriculture trend as one of the directions of green economy.
At the next stage, we studied the structure of green economy and identified priority areas of it. It is accepted to separate the following parts of green economy into climate change, air, water resources, waste, land resources, biodiversity, and others. Each of these areas implies certain activities. So climate change means actions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, increase the share of low carbon energy consumption, and manage climate risk through the development of appropriate strategies. The air direction includes measures to reduce the level of carbon dioxide and other emissions into the atmosphere, the introduction of a system for monitoring the quality of atmospheric air to assess and ensure its purity. Within the framework of the water resources direction, the following activities are carried out. A comprehensive assessment of water use in order to understand what volumes of water are used by enterprises directly for the production of their products, modernization of water monitoring and control system in order to improve the safety of hydraulic structures, search for the green solutions, and others. Waste means the application of technically and economically sound principles and methods of efficient use of resources and pollution prevention to exclude, or if it's not possible, minimize the negative impact of waste from industrial enterprises on human health and the environment. The land resources direction includes a number of actions for the development of a program for reclamation of lands affected by construction works, continuation of waste collection, and restoration of disturbed territories. The last but not least important direction is biodiversity, which means the following activities: improving the effectiveness of internal policies and regulations in order to prevent or minimize negative impact on terrestrial ecosystems in future, development and clarifying measures to prevent negative impact of existing and future projects of companies as a part of improving the approach to risk management in connections to ecosystems. These spheres are the main directions for the green economy, but some enterprises may extend them to other environmental spheres. Of course, it is possible to identify other spheres of the green economy, but we will not focus on them.
In this context, the practices of implementing eco-projects and implementing green investments in Russia and abroad are interesting for comparison. Of course, green economy is being introduced into industry at different speeds in different regions of the world. In the developed economies, individual processes of the sphere of economy began to appear in the late 90s of the 20th century, while in Russia only isolated projects connected to this phenomenon can still be found. Nevertheless, there is already a certain statistical and event array that allows us to analyze the situation of the green economy in Russia and compare it with the other countries. From the data from 2011 to 2020, it follows that investments ratio to the country's GDP has changed slightly, and that GDP growth rates were really low in this period. In general, it can be noted that this trend is characteristic not only for our economy, but the significant gap from developed countries has continued to increase. Then we can proceed to the consideration of participation of individual large corporations in the green economy. Speaking about Russian companies, there are wide eco-investment projects in many spheres. For instance, Comparative Nickel planned to invest more than $5.5 billion until 2030 in environmental protection projects. However, in May 2020, and due to subordinary of Norilsk Nickel, more than 20,000 tons of diesel fuel seeped into the soil and water of the Taimyr Peninsula in the Russian Arctic, and the Ambarna River ran red. This is one of the largest oil spills in the Arctic zone in history and poses a threat to the ecosystem of the Arctic Ocean. Because of the consequences, this company is forced to invest in a green economy. Among non-Russian companies, we also can note the well-known company British Petroleum. British Petroleum enters alternative energy markets and actively invests in projects for carbon-free energy transformation. 750 million was invested in such projects in 2020, and by 2025 it is planned to increase this amount to $3 or $4 billion a year. But we need to remember about the recent events related to the environmental pollution caused by actions of this company. So, in April 2010, an accident occurred on the Deepwater Horizon drilling platform, which British Petroleum used to produce oil in the Gulf of Mexico. As a result of disaster, 11 people died and hundreds of thousands of tons of oil spilled into the sea. That's why the company has focus on green economy. In developed economies, there are also companies whose activities are almost entirely focused on green economy, such as, for example, the American Tesla.
As we can see in foreign companies, environmental issues are perceived more comprehensively than in Russian enterprises. There are examples of not just large investment programs like in the Russian economy, but the formation of entire industries. We can also draw attention to the fact that in Russia small and medium-sized enterprises are almost not involved in eco projects, but of course there are exceptions. For example, there is a medium-sized company such as Seville with its eco policy. And we hope that small and medium-sized enterprises will support and develop this trend. In conclusion, we would like to summarize all of the above in a fairly simple formulation. In developed economies, green economy is deeply integrated into all spheres of life. It is perceived as a process inseparable from the existence of any economic entity, while in Russia green economy remains poorly researched. Most people are not interested in this issue and do not fully realize the importance of green economy for the development of the Russian Federation. Anyway, it's incredibly important to continue explore environmental protection issues, involves mass in eco processes, develop the regulatory framework, and create more effective government programs to support a green economy. In case of any questions, please don't hesitate to write to us.